What's good, everybody? Welcome into Inside the Green Room with
Shit,
JD
shit.
Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. And y'all, it's been way too long since we've seen an NBA playoff basketball game. Danny, I'm
Man,
so happy that
man.
the finals are on the way. But, bro, it's been rough.
Yeah, it's been like a week and a half damn near. It seems like
So it
like
feels
three
like 2
weeks,
weeks.
but yeah, it's been like a week and a half. But that's a lot of time for no basketball during the playoffs. Like you don't see that long of a break usually. So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
everybody's looking forward. We're talking about the same things every day, trying to predict. Let's get. I think it's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a fun one. Let's get to it. I want to see how the first two games go to see like what the what the atmosphere, what the feel out is going to be, and see who's going to have momentum. Because there's a lot of factors, a lot of variations that come into play in this series, man, and we don't know who is going to show up and who's not.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I did see you on the jump, and I know you at one point you said you want to see how game one looks before you make your prediction. And Kendrick Perkins called you out for that.
Yeah, I
And
wanted to see the
and and,
first
and he's
two.
there, and he's damn right. Of course. Well, of course, I would love to see the first two as well. But that's not
I mean, I
like
have I have my prediction of who I think will win, but it's that you just don't know what you're going to get in that Boston
well,
arena,
that's
what emotion is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why the factors of the fans and the history of being old teammates come into play. With Porzingis being leaving from Dallas, Kyle leaving from Boston, like those things can change a lot in a series. So
yes, for sure. They definitely will. However, that does not mean you get to factor those things in after the fact when you make the prediction. With that being said, we'll get to our predictions later on in the show. But first, I want to talk about other things that are happening in the basketball world. Shams Charania reported on Tuesday that the Lakers are likely to sign JJ Redick to be their next head coach. He'll probably do that, and will probably become official after the end of the NBA Finals. JJ Redick, obviously a part of the main broadcast crew for ABC and ESPN. So, Danny, as a man
Mhm.
who played for the Lakers and then a man who just watches basketball and is familiar with all the things that come with being the Lakers head coach or being just affiliated with the Lakers, how do you feel? Matter of fact, just grade the hire. JJ Redick, Lakers' next head coach. Letter grade.
I mean, I love the hire. I like JJ as a person, as an analyst. I think he would be a great coach. I don't know about for this situation or this team, so I don't love it as much for this group or that organization. I don't know who else would be available. I don't know who do you bring in? Who do you bring back? Frank Vogel? Do you bring in, James Berg?
Frank can't go.
He
Frank
ain't
can't
going
go
back.
back
He
to that
can't go back,
as
right? So it's
as an
tough. I mean,
assistant or a head
who
coach.
who else is out there? You know what I'm saying? That has experience, that has been around. Bud just got signed to Phoenix. I'm trying to think of like maybe there's some
James
Fizdale, like there's some
Borrego,
yeah,
Kenny Atkinson, with some
Kenny
other
solid,
guys who had head coaching experience. So go ahead. What's the letter grade though?
Jacques Vaughn. I think in any other situation, I'm giving the higher like an A minus B plus for JJ. But for this scenario, I'm just gonna go a B. Like it's a B grade. Um, a lot of people, even players coming into the organization, think like this is gonna be fun. I can do this. You know what I'm saying? You think you'd be a Laker until you're a Laker and realize how heavy really the pressure, the lights are, the magnifying glass, just the magnitude of the scenario. And for that to be your first coaching job, that's a lot, man. And JJ has good hair right now. I hope it stays dark. I hope he
Yeah,
doesn't lose it.
we need to do it before and after.
Yeah, he's gonna look like a presidency picture. You know, have to do their 4 year tenure and how like they age from the first day they got to office till when they left. So yeah, I said I like the hire. I don't know about for this scenario. It does seem a little weird because of the podcast situation. Everybody's talking about it, and pretty much Braun should have a say so who coaches him, but you know there's a lot of conflicts of interest when it comes to that. They have ties in other places. But yeah, rightfully so. I mean, JJ was a great player, is a great basketball mind, and should be a head coach in our league if he wants to be. So I just don't know if this is I feel for him. This being his first job in the league. I don't know if he'll want to coach more after this one. So, we'll see how it goes. But it's a tough situation, man. But, it can only go up from here, right? They have a good pieces, they have a good situation. They weren't happy with Darvin, but they did make the Western Conference Finals. They lost first round, so they do any better than that. They make the playoffs and not in the play-in this year coming up. They'll see it as a success. But in
Yeah,
Lakers, you got to win a championship. There's every championship or bust every year when you have LeBron and AD.
yeah, for sure. I think it's I think it's an A grade hire for the Lakers, a B grade hire for JJ Redick. I think he's walking into a lot of things that maybe he's not necessarily
You
going
don't
to be
know.
prepared for.
You don't
That
know
he
until you get in
doesn't
there.
know. Yeah. One thing about being with the Lakers, particularly at the head coach, you got to be super secure and super confident in every single thing that you do, because they're going to look for the scapegoat every single time the Lakers don't perform to the level that the fans want. And LeBron James, shit. I remember covering LeBron when back he was in Cleveland. LeBron James is particularly now at his age and his basketball brilliance. He's just not going to get the blame. He's just not, unless he misses a game-winning shot. LeBron James has pretty much been blameless throughout the entirety of his career, unless he performs poorly in a fourth quarter. That's for the most part.
40-year-old mark. Like, they're not going to blame him. That's 30, over 36. That's playing at a high level. They're gonna look at other people that's not performing, because if Braun does anything over at this age that is above 20 plus points, he did his job, because you're not expecting a 40-year-old to score 20 plus points and facilitate, make defensive plays, get a block shot or two here or there. That's unbelievable at 40 years old. So the other guy's gonna have to step up, and it's not just JJ, but it's the pieces around him. So a lot of the guys that are teammates are feeling that heat as well, and they'll tell you there's a lot of things that come with being a Laker that people don't see or understand on the outside until you get in there.
To JJ's credit, I think he's probably more prepared than maybe we would think to be the head coach, because he has his podcast. He has been on TV. So, one, he can be eloquent with the media. I think he'll understand how to play the media game. I think, Danny, you've been...
That's half the battle.
Yeah,
the media is great, but, bro, if you ain't performing, shit, your locker room don't respect you. Talk all good you want with the media. So does Doc. Doc talks great with the media too. But if you're not winning games, you're not performing, none of that shit matters.
Yeah, that goes. Yes, for sure. He's going to have to be prepared for that. But I think that's one of the things that really makes it hard for coaches or anybody when you don't know how to handle the media. The media has an immense impact, and social media in general. And I think he's probably used to social media too, because, as you know, Danny, having a podcast and giving off takes also means you have to be able to receive the negative criticism when you make a take. So I think from that standpoint, he's probably more prepared than maybe a lot of people would think. But then it also comes down to those simple X's and O's. And that's where he'll have to deal with his challenges. And when the X's and O's don't result to wins, then how he handles it will be super interesting. But we wish him the best of luck. Another thing that's happened in the basketball world, and speaking of JJ Redick, he is featured, well, not he per se, but he is portrayed in the new FX Hulu documentary Clipped. The story of Donald Sterling and the fall of the LA Clippers before they re-arose again, and now Steve Ballmer being their owner. I haven't been able to watch the episode yet. It just came out. I'm definitely going to be watching it. What was, if I go back to that moment in time, what was the biggest thing that stuck out to you as an NBA player about that whole controversy regarding Donald Sterling? And remember when Doc Rivers and the team protesting and all of these things? What was the thing that stuck out in your mind at the most around that time?
Just the stories that were coming out, and kind of all at once. Once the ball gets going, everybody has a story. Every GM, and then a bunch of other GMs and owners came out. People were like not happy with them. Sexual harassment cases. I think it was something happened with Phoenix.
Housing discrimination cases in his personal life.
But I remember guys just not feeling comfortable playing for the organization, especially if the organization didn't back them, being the fact that 80% of their players were of color, and you had him on tape speaking negatively toward players of color. So it was just a weird time when people were kind of taken back, in shock, and all that in this day and age. Even though, it wasn't that long ago, but it was like after 2015, we're like, it's 2020. What are we doing? Like with 2016, it's like this today. Like, is this really going on? And people, which is ignorant people, to not understand or think that these things still don't go on behind closed doors, especially when most of these owners, most of these people are like 70, 80 years old. They grew up in a way different time period than what we did. Some of them were born in the 40s. So they've seen and been through a lot of other things, and their mindset and mental is way different. Not saying that it's okay, but a lot of people just haven't adjusted or adapted to the times, and they just have a certain way of thinking. And a lot of it, there's going to be some racial biases and racial, stereotypes. They can look at you in a certain way. It's just how they are. So, but just bringing that to light and seeing the world change to say, certain things are not okay, especially that one. Then of course, LGBTQ community, them like making a change and then getting like more power, more rights, like just everybody coming out and saying, you can't say these things about these groups of people. And every group of people, women, you can't do this. They needed more power. Empowering these groups of people, empowering women, empowering, the LGBTQ community. I'm not saying I'm sure I'm saying that correctly. It's a lot of different letters. So yeah, just having empowerment of all groups, all races, all cultures, and people, saying like, this can't be on TV anymore. Now you see movies changing, cartoons changing. Everything is incorporated in different series of how they, I guess not say stereotype, but how they portray certain cultures, characters, and people. Now they put all groups of people in there. So yeah, that's when you kind of seeing the world shift and change a lot more after that time.
Yeah, I think it's obviously what happened was a necessary evil in terms to expose everything that was happening within the Clippers organization. So I'm going to be interested to see how it's portrayed. I will say this though, it's so the difficulty in Hollywood of when you try to make a TV show, a series, a movie about something related to sports, and you're trying to cast characters that aren't Blake Griffin, that aren't Chris Paul, that aren't DeAndre Jordan. I think that must. Now, I'll give a shout out to Jim Hecht and that entire crew.
Big shout out to Jim Hecht.
The Lakers documentary. They've been on the show before. I think they did a great job casting Magic. I mean, the show in itself was really good, but the fact that they were able to identify somebody who looked and acted like Magic, somebody who looked and acted like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, somebody who looked and acted like Pat Riley, I think that was a tremendous casting job by them. I think the early impressions of social media, like, hey, bro, that don't look like Blake Griffin. Hey, bro, that don't look like JJ Redick. I think
that
that's
don't look like Matt Barnes. Yeah, certain thing. It's gonna be interesting. It's funny as hell. Yeah,
it's tough.
Continue,
it's
man.
tough.
I mean to cut you off.
But yeah, no, it's all good. But good luck to them. I hope the series is as entertaining as they would like it to be, and people can get past the appearances of people who are trying to portray the players that we all know and have been watching for years upon years. Last thing before we get to the NBA Finals, and maybe this will be the last of it, or maybe it won't. Caitlin Clark. Oh my goodness, Danny. The commentary around this woman has been quite a lot, and we're not going to get into everything that happened earlier this week, just because it's been beaten down to a drum. Everything that's happened, but I will say this though. Overall, I understand that there are a large segment of women who are not, or people who cover the sport in general, who are not happy that it's being portrayed that the league doesn't like Caitlin Clark, that it's being portrayed that they are jealous, that it's being portrayed that they hate her. However, I do not have a problem if there are people who hate her in the league. I'm not saying all of them do. I have no problem with people hating her.
It's a part of life. It's a part of the league, right?
It's
part of competition.
I have no problem with if there are players who are jealous of her, which there probably are. I have no problem with players being jealous of her. I am in entertainment, and I enjoy
by the smoke. People want to see the smoke.
I want the smoke. We all want the smoke. The smoke is what makes us watch. The smoke is what makes us tune in. And particularly, Danny, you and I have talked about this. When the weather is getting nice, it is summertime now. You have to be entertaining to make me want to stay in the house and watch the game. And part of entertainment is animosity. I want animosity. Now, am I rooting for dirty plays to take place? Not necessarily. But when a dirty play,
healthy, clean competition, but you want people at each other. You know what I'm saying? You want to see at the highest level who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, so, and if a dirty play happens,
so be it. It's not, as long as it's not dangerous. As long as it's not super dangerous, it's part of sports. Dirty plays happen as long as it's not dangerous. But to piggyback on that, man, I have gotten questions all week about it. I've been doing some ESPN, NBA Today,
Yeah.
The Jump, some radio hits with Audacy, and I think I was talking to Cleveland, the radio guys, and they're like, "Is it a bit harsh, the way that they're treating her?" And I'm like, "Harsh? Is that like a word you would ever use in men's sports? Like, if LeBron James came in or Zion came in, like you want that, you expect that. That's what you're supposed to. You probably get hyped by it, like, oh, they touching young boy up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's getting licks. Like you'd be excited to see it. Like only because it's women's sports, y'all gonna talk about it that way. No, like it's viewed more. Like you get more streaming, so you see more clips. More clips are highlighted. More clips go viral on Twitter. She played 11 games in 20 days, which is crazy, unbelievable. But you saw three or four clips. You know how many possessions are in a game? That's not bad at all. If you see 3 or 4 clips in 11 games, that's like nothing. 3 or 4 like tough plays, one dirty clip. So to me, it's like you're talking on a small scale of things, and the bigger picture is like, this is not that bad. I'm sure other rookies have gotten it way worse. I've seen women get body slammed in games. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some elbows get dropped like this before. They were getting watched as much or streamed as much. You don't see the clips. But this physical play. I'm sure Candace Parker get that. She got the same treatment. Maya Moore got the same treatment. Like they all came in. Diana Taurasi, like they all came in and got their licks. You know what I'm saying? People were they had to earn their stripes. So as part of competition, people love to see it in every sport, especially when it comes football, basketball, men's sport, like, oh, hit him, lick him. You know what I'm saying? Like rookie, ring his bell. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to women's sports, like, they're being harsh. What are we talking about here? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's sports.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, hey, listen. I wish Caitlin Clark the best of luck, but I don't want it to be easy for her either. I want her to have to overcome all the physical challenges that are going to come her way, and the story will be even better when she does.
Oh, we're all rooting for her. She's not a bad person, but she's a really good. You know what I'm saying? She's a good person, good kid. She's a great athlete, great sport. So everybody's rooting for her to do well. But you know what I'm saying? You want to see her trying.
I don't want it to be
an easy path. Yeah, you got to earn your strength.
You
want to see you know what I'm saying? Everybody has to go through some adversity, and they want to see your story do the same. Like you're great already at top, but you have to go through adversity when you get to the W. We want to see you go through that. How you handle it, how you bounce back. It's going to show your character. It's going to make people like you even much more. So, you're getting all the dollars, you're getting all the media attention. Show people why,
Exactly. Now, I will say this. Whoever's in charge of the Indiana Fever, you need to talk to your head coach because your head coach should be standing up more for your star player. You also need your head coach to talk to her team and make sure that when Caitlin Clark does get bodied, somebody's at the very least picking her up off the floor immediately. The response to Kennedy Carter's hit was probably the worst thing out of all the things that I saw. It wasn't necessarily what she did, because we've seen that all the time in basketball.
Yeah.
The fact that her coach didn't stand up for her in the way that most people would expect, or her teammates didn't stand up for her in the most way that people would expect, that was my bigger issue. I expect somebody to be chippy with Caitlin Clark. That's how sports are played.
Yeah. To be fair, though, the play happened so quickly. I think a lot of people were taken by surprise. Everybody's running down the floor. I don't think the referee they didn't call it a flagrant because I don't think he even saw it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it happened so fast, happened in the play. Everybody's down the floor. So, yes, if somebody saw it, they should have ran up on Kennedy and like, yo, what's going? Like, what are you doing? Like, we don't do that here. But to be fair to the teammates, like, they probably like, what happened? Like, I didn't see what happened. They probably saw the replay and was like, oh, damn. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy. And you're not allowed to leave the benches. So, but yes, teammates should stand up for more better. I'm sure they will because they're hearing the criticism, and the coach as well.
The one benefit about the WNBA and its lack of having so many teams, it won't be the last time that the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky go head to head. Because there's so few teams, they're going to see a lot more matchups, and I am looking forward to it. We want the smoke, y'all. Be right back after the break. What's good? We're back with Inside the Green Room, Danny Green, Harrison Sanford. Quick reminder for you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you can listen to us on the Audacy app. And if you're listening on the Audacy app, you can go ahead and watch us on YouTube. Please do us a favor, 5-star review, hit the subscribe button, all those things that, people do when they have a podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Also a reminder, after every single game in the NBA Finals, we're going to do this show. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Game 4. Hopefully it goes all the way to Game 7. We will have a post-game podcast, so hopefully you guys will be tuning in. And if you're listening to an Audacy radio station, you might just hear us on your radio station as well as you're going through your day. Now let's talk about the NBA Finals. 3 quick topics. Number 1, Danny, I find it amazing that all of the smoke is already being loaded up for Jason Tatum. He is one of the best players in the NBA, a top 10 player in the NBA. I don't think that's up for debate. An all NBA first teamer. He has all the tools in his tool bag. There's one problem. Well, he has two. His 2 problems. Number 1, he did not perform at a high level in the 2022 NBA Finals, or a level that people expected. But even more so, Danny, and it's not really a problem, it's really a good thing, he has a really good roster around him. He is surrounded by high quality NBA players, and because he's surrounded by so much talent, it doesn't require him to do some of the things that we would expect of a superstar. For example, Luka Doncic, he leads the NBA in usage rate. You can go all around the NBA.
He leads his team in every category: minutes, 3-pointers, field goals, rebounds.
He leads the whole NBA. He leads the whole NBA in postseason in those categories. It's just Jason Tatum is guilty by having a great team. It's almost unfortunate for him, and I'm starting to hear the chatter that he has to win Finals MVP, a la what they used to say to Steph Curry. You could win a title, but you still need to be Finals MVP. Or you're starting to hear that he has to play great. And Danny, I'm of the mindset that he could play great. He should, but he doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to play great for his team to win, because that's how great his team is. But I don't think the media is going to let him slide if he doesn't. It's such a interesting phenomenon. And I almost think back to Kobe. And even though Kobe played great most of the time in the NBA Finals, it was almost like part of the reason why he wanted to split from Shaq, because he was like, people are still saying I am winning because of Shaq, and I'm not winning because of me. And so I feel like that's the same territory that Jason Tatum is in. Even if he wins,
he's in the Steph Curry. He's in the Steph Curry category.
Unless he's Finals MVP, it's like he won't get the credit.
Same thing with Steph. Steph went through the same thing when he had KD. And then, of course, when Iggy won it, they were like, Steph has to win a Finals MVP for him to be considered like a top 10, top 5 great. Kobe said, there were times where they thought Powell should have won Finals MVP. And they said, well, he won because of Shaq. Then it's like, he has 2-7-3 guys with Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol. Like, he always had, good bigs. But, media is always going to find something to say, basically, what I'm trying to say here. Doesn't matter who's on your team. Doesn't matter how well you play, or how well you don't play and you still win the award, because Cole got Finals MVP one time. And they thought, Powell should have gotten it. But the media is going to say something regardless. Unless you play extremely great and you're just LeBron James head and shoulders above everybody. Even when LeBron won it, they were like, Kai should have got some votes. Kai could have been Finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? And LeBron's averaging like a 40-point triple-double. So regardless of how well you play, the media is always going to find some weakness or something to say about what you didn't do. If I'm him, drown out the noise, man, and just win the series. Win you a championship. All the other shit will fall into place. It does not matter. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get a Finals MVP and you're still young. You'll still get back there. Win a championship. That's more important. You can still make your mark in so many other ways in this league. You don't have to have a Finals MVP to do that. And there's a lot of guys that don't have one that still have made their mark, you know what I'm saying, on the leagues and made a name for themselves. You're still going to be a great. You still be a Boston great. Just because Derek White or Drew Holiday or Jaylen Brown or Porzingis wins Final MVP doesn't mean like, Jason Tatum wasn't the superstar on that team or was the key guy on that team. It's just that they had a really great series. You know what I'm saying? They got a lot of votes. It's like,
it's true.
With last year with Jimmy Butler, you know what I'm saying, in the Eastern Conference Finals when Caleb Martin could have damn well got, Eastern Conference Finals MVP of how well he played, because he was the X factor for Miami when they beat Boston in that series, averaging like 23. But yeah, they were like, Jimmy's the main guy on this team. But even if Jimmy didn't win and say Caleb Martin won Eastern Conference Finals MVP, you think people are going to remember that Jimmy just came up short or wasn't good enough to, like, no, nobody's going to give a damn. They're not like, Caleb Martin was the man on that team. No. Yeah, Jason Tatum didn't win Finals MVP, but he was still the man on that team, and they won. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's for sure. I even flash back to now 2013 when you were in the NBA Finals. And I hate to bring it up, but let's just say you won NBA Finals MVP because all the threes that
nobody would care. Yeah,
nobody's gonna be like
care.
Tim Duncan was a bum. Nobody's gonna
Tony Parker didn't show up. Bro, what? Nobody's gonna say Tony didn't show up. Manu wasn't great that series. Danny Green was the man on that team. Nobody would care. Nobody remember, and they would still remember Kawhi being the man. Timmy, Tony, Manu, like those guys would still be the man on that team. Just because they had a great series, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think that's a great reference point for sure. Damn, that just came to my head. All right, real quick, X factors in this series. I'm gonna go with Derrick Jones Jr. Why? Because he's the most qualified player to guard Jason Tatum from the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think that's up for debate. Now, the big question is, can he survive offensively? Now, we know Luka can absolutely cook, and they might just do one-on-one coverage with him because the Boston Celtics have a number of quality defenders. But he can still cook them. And if he cooks them, it means maybe some blitzing, maybe some double team, and the ball is eventually going to swing to a guy who they want to shoot. And a guy who they would probably want to shoot is Derrick Jones Jr. How he shoots in this series can very well decide who wins the series. In the regular season, Danny, Derrick Jones Jr. shot 34% from the three-point line, which is not a good mark. But in the playoffs, Danny, he's shooting 39% from three. And that is a world of difference.
Big jump. It's a big jump.
Between winning and losing games. Derrick Jones Jr., my X factor. If he shoots 33% from three or 35 and below, they're probably not going to win because that means he's probably going to have to be taken off the court because he can't shoot, or if he stays on the court to guard Jason Tatum, then he's really just gonna mess up the flow. But if he's hitting over 38% from three, Danny, and providing his usual defense on Jason Tatum, granted he's not going to stop Jason Tatum, but he's going to be their best option. I think the Dallas Mavericks win. That is my X factor, Derrick Jones Jr.
I'm with you. We're thinking alike, and we're on the same page, but I have a different person. PJ Washington. I think that's going to be the matchup on Jason Tatum. He's a bigger body. He's stronger. He's stronger, and he's going to be this is my X factor for Dallas. So I have X factor for Boston as well. I have Dallas in the series in 6. I think they keep rolling the way they were, and those others play the way they're supposed to. Derrick Jones Jr. mix it up. I think they're going to mix with Derrick Jones Jr., but the main primary defender, I think, is going to be PJ Washington, and he has to set limit, like you said, Jason Tatum, and not let him get into his rhythm and do what he does. And then offensively, he has to be the guy he was in OKC series. Not gun shy, not hesitating, shooting, knocking down shots, blocking shots, playing defense, doing the little things, Derrick Jones Jr. taking some charges, doing little things on defense, protecting the rim, rebounding. Going to be huge for Dallas in the series. So if he gets in there helping Gafford and Lively rebound, knock down some threes, and then play defense on Jason Tatum, he could be the reason why Dallas is the last team standing. Now for Boston side, it's no-brainer. It's Porzingis, bro. He's the X factor. He's got to be the guy to stretch the floor, keep Gafford Lively out the paint on defense, make them guard on the perimeter, make them switch, hit his threes. But more importantly, defensively, he's got to protect the rim and rebound. He's got to keep Gafford and Lively out of the paint, off the rim, protecting the lobs, not letting guys finish, Kai and Luka, contesting their floaters, but taking away the lob game. You know how well those guys, they're 100% true shooters in the playoffs. They haven't missed many shots because it's all dunks and layups. You got to protect the rim, not let them get dunks and layups. Affect Luka's, lob floaters, Kyrie's lobs and floaters, rebound the ball very well, not to let them get second and third chances, and then offensively bring those bigs out on the floor. So he is going to be the main important key for Boston. And then for Dallas, it's PJ Washington for me.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Porzingis there for sure. All right, we got to get out of here. So real quick, NBA Finals prediction. I'll go first. I'm going with the Dallas Mavericks in 7, and Luka Doncic is going to be the Finals MVP. He is just in control of the game in ways that we haven't seen since, frankly, LeBron. And I don't think they're that outmatched when it comes to talent level, because I think the Dallas Mavericks are actually deeper, even though they don't have as much frontline talent as the Boston Celtics do. Mm-hmm. Luka Doncic, your Finals MVP. He's just going to control the pace of the game, and I'm going to trust him and Kyrie in clutch every day of the week against the Boston Celtics. I think the Boston Celtics win the blowout games, but the close games go to the Mavericks. They're more close games than there are going to be blowout games. So give me Dallas in 7. What you got?
I got Dallas in 6. If they let it go to 7, they're not winning in Boston on their home floor. I think they have to. It's going to be very tough. I got Luka Doncic being Finals MVP. Like you said, he's just been on big time players do big time things on big time stages, and every time the stage gets brighter and brighter, this kid shows up and shows why he's one of the best in the world to pick up a basketball and lace up the shoes, lace up the J's. So I got Luka doing what he does. Kyrie, it's a We're going to see what kind of emotions the first two games, but I think Kai's going to average, 20, 30, 25 to 30 points a game and help them. I would love to see him be a Finals MVP, but ultimately Luka sets the table. He does everything, playmaking, rebounding, all across the board. So I think Dallas in 6. If they let it go to 7, it's a wrap for them.
Yep, can't be mad at that. All right, guys, remember, NBA Finals recap podcast after every single game of the NBA Finals. Make sure you're tuned in, subscribe, rate, review, all the good things. Enjoy it, guys. The NBA Finals are finally here. See you next time.
Peace.